Hey everyone. Why do I keep doing that? I always touch my face like right as this thing starts. It must be like some nervous habit or something. Uh, these videos show how much I actually touch my face. I do it a lot. It's starting to bug me and I gotta stop doing that. Uh, the reason for this video is I was watching this BuzzFeed video and it was talking about like 36 questions women have for men. And I'm not gonna get into that video. I'm not gonna do like a response or anything to it because there's been plenty of them and it's been out a while and it's kind of past that. But there are plenty of responses. I was just watching it and I was watching a little bit of some of the responses, and it's kind of funny some of the thoughts that were coming up, and some of the answers to these questions. And there were a couple things that I noticed that I think would be interesting to address at least in this video. Um, the first one was why are men afraid to show emotion? Why are they afraid to have emotions? It means you're human, and I really do think. See, again with the touching the face. I really do think that men just don't have a wide array of emotions as most women do. I think like women have more color receptors in their eyes. There's facts that women see color better than men do, and uh, it's almost impossible for a woman to be colorblind. It's attached to the chromosome that makes men men, and it's mostly a male trait, right? So women biologically see color more than men do and better than men do. It's why a man might say it's a pink shirt or a red shirt, and then it's some other color, and we only have the receptor for really like red and pink, and it's kind of that general thing. I feel that men just don't have as many emotions. It's not helpful for us to feel that many emotions and go through and understand every single emotion. It's not helpful for us. As a male, I don't like to talk. The other one was not talking about things and expressing themselves. Well, as a male, it's not very helpful for us. It doesn't do much for us. We kind of just feel the same way after it, and now we just feel like we've burdened whoever we've told also with it. So nothing got done. One of the big things that women have against men is they don't let them vent. Men try and fix everything. Well, men like to fix things. It's what we do. Even problems, we like to fix problems. We like to see an ending to them. We don't like to just sit down and talk about our feelings. Whatever's bothering us, we want dealt with. It's not helpful for us just to sit down and talk. I feel if you take a communications class, you'll understand that men are more communicative through actions and things like that, where women can create relationships and do things like that through talking. They get to know each other. They sit down, they talk about things they have in common, all that. Men like to do things together. That's how they built it. So for men, I feel like to just sit down and talk is burdensome because it's not how we like to deal with things, and it's not the way we want to deal with things. It's just makes us more depressed about the situation and whatever happened. Like if we have a bad day at work and we're mad, we want to just come home and be alone, think about it, and get over it. If we sit down and we express that to someone for 45 minutes or an hour, now we're mad, and we feel like we've burned someone else, and it's like, okay, it didn't get dealt with. I now have to go sit there and think about it now. Back to step one. We want it just done. We don't want to sit down and talk. But I think it's more helpful for most women who express it and get it out, and then that's them. It's dealt with and they move along, right? It's just how it all works, but it doesn't work like that for men. We feel bad by the end of it. We don't feel like, oh, that was really helpful. Now there are some times where it is helpful to sit down and talk, and on those times let the guy talk and let him think it all through and let him speak. Talk out loud and bounce it all off you, and that's great. Now it's dealt with. But the other one was men sitting around talking for hours about boobs was the question. Like why do you do something when you can sit around and talk? I forget what the question was, but they were talking about how men just sit around and talk about female anatomy for hours and hours and hours. And I have a feeling that most women have a misunderstanding of what happens when a group of men get together and hang out and talk and do all those kinds of things. Yes, women will get talked about in a group of men. It's going to happen. So the conversation is probably going to happen. Let's say a group of 5 or 10 or whatever group of men there are. But men, I've never sat around with a group of my friends and just talked about women for hours and hours and hours. We may talk about it for a little bit, but then we're going to move on. We're going to talk about sports or religion or politics or cars or technology or whatever's new. We will talk about current events. Things like that do come up. Yeah, and there's a lot of joking around and making fun of each other. And then there's also, and what it ends up being is if there's a group of mixed ages, it ends up the older men kind of telling stories to the younger men. So a lot of older men served in the military, so they'll tell us little military stories. And if the younger men have served, they'll tell us the stories or funny things that have happened in your life, just funny events that are, and it ends up a storytelling thing. And that's what I've seen a lot in a group of men is like storytelling and joking and all that kind of stuff. Very little of it is actually just sitting around just talking about women. Especially if you get into a group of small group of men of 2 or 3 who are close, then even more stuff gets talked about. Problems you're having, issues like that. You really can get deep into politics or religion or kind of those weird ones you're not supposed to talk about. But you kind of have, like, oh, and this happened at work, and this coworker's a jerk, and you kind of make fun of them all a little bit, and then more personal things can be talked about in those smaller groups. So there's this misunderstanding, at least for most women, of what men actually think about and talk about a lot. I've never sat around just talking about the female anatomy for hours and hours and hours with a group of men. We move along, and there's real conversations happening. And I really do feel that men just don't deal with, not that women are more emotional in like the derogatory, like, oh, women act on emotions kind of stuff, but like, I feel like we just have a shorter range. We only have like happy, sad, mad, lazy. Like there's like only a couple where women, because they probably have a little more of an emotional understanding or emotional, emotional maturity maybe. They talk about it more. They can put words to more complex emotions where I think men have simpler emotions. And that's just off of just what I think. Well, off of what I've dealt with in my life. I haven't had real wide array of experiences. I've had kind of the standard set of emotions, and when I've had to sit down and talk to someone, mostly female, about my problem that I'm having or something like that, I become very tired, and it kind of wears on me to talk that much about it because in my head it's not being dealt with. It's simply just in my head. It's like complaining. I feel like I'm complaining about everything. I'm not working on the issue, and the issue's not getting solved. So an action would be more helpful for me. Some sort of, here's how I'm going to fix it, and then go and fix it. That's just my take on some of these things, and it was just kind of one of the ones that were bugging me, and I found kind of funny and silly that that's the way they see it, because I know in pop culture and things like that, whenever a woman portrays a man, there's kind of a set idea of what happens, and it's normally, they normally spit a lot and grab their junk and make fun of people. Now, we do make fun of each other, but it's normally in good fun, and most men don't grab their junk too much. It doesn't happen very often. Even in a group of other men, it may happen once or, every once in a while because you kind of adjust, but it doesn't happen like all the time like you will see in shows and movies and things like that. So it's just funny how different we are and how much, what misunderstandings I think are all still out there. And I'm sure if someone did the female version of this, it'd be much more complex of what men don't understand or, have misrepresented. I'm sure it's a much longer video, but these are just some of the ones that I saw. So let me know what you think. I could be completely wrong. It wouldn't surprise me if I was, but it's just how I feel about it and what I think about it. So let me know what you think.